Welcome back to Cyberspace. I'm your host, Leslie Poston, and in today's episode, we're taking a look at the subtle yet powerful forces that shape our decisions and beliefs before we even realize it. Our behavioral changes as a result of this manipulation are called anticipatory compliance, a psychological phenomenon where individuals conform to expectations in advance, often under the influence of propaganda or perceived social pressures. As we dive deep into this topic, we'll explore how this impacts not just individual behavior, but also political landscapes and societal norms. Let's learn how these often hidden influences guide our actions and thoughts in ways we might not notice. First, let's take a look at defining anticipatory compliance. Anticipatory compliance often starts where our awareness ends. It's a preemptive surrender to perceived authority or societal norms, driven by a desire to conform or avoid conflict. While some people are more susceptible to this than others, no one is immune. Originally discussed in the context of totalitarian regimes and corporate governance, the concept of anticipatory compliance has broad implications extending into everyday social interactions and media consumption. Researchers like Jowett and O'Donnell discuss how media and propaganda exploit these tendencies, subtly aligning individual behaviors with specific agendas without overt coercion. The mechanics of anticipatory compliance are rooted in our psychological makeup, our innate desire for approval and a fear of isolation. By appealing to these deep-seated needs, entities can manipulate populations toward specific outcomes, making it a potent tool for both marketers and political leaders. Academic studies have shown how anticipatory compliance can lead individuals to adopt behaviors or attitudes that align with group norms, even when these norms are not explicitly enforced. Furthermore, this behavior is often not a conscious decision. Instead, it's a response conditioned by the environment and the continuous exposure to certain messages. This aspect of human psychology is what makes anticipatory compliance such a powerful tool for social control. It operates under the radar, influencing our choices and beliefs without us necessarily recognizing the forces at work. The power of anticipatory compliance lies in its subtlety. It does not require direct orders or overt coercion. Instead, it nudges individuals towards conformity through the cumulative effect of social cues or perceived norms. Over time, this can lead to significant changes in how societies function, highlighting the importance of understanding this phenomenon. One real example comes to mind. In the 1930s, many Germans began aligning their behavior with Nazi ideology before explicit laws were ever passed, driven by a climate of nationalism and perceived social pressure to conform to the ruling party's views. We're beginning to see something similar to this in both America and the United Kingdom regarding the violent acts being perpetrated against Palestinians and the way Western governments and media are reporting on it, and the impact of that reporting on public behavior. Let's take a look at the media's role in shaping compliance. The media plays a pivotal role in fostering anticipatory compliance by framing information in ways that subtly encourage conformity. Through repetitive messaging and selective presentation of information, media can create an environment where dissent feels not only contrary but dangerous. This is particularly evident in how issues are framed around national security or public health, where the stakes are portrayed as exceptionally high and non-compliance is seen as a direct threat to collective well-being. Recall, for example, during the first phase of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, care and community-based messaging led us to higher levels of compliance with public health measures. However, in these later stages of this pandemic, fear-based messaging around the virus and social shunning from media and from people who may have fallen for propaganda online has led to lower compliance with scientifically proven methods of spread prevention like masking, even though these measures are consistently found to be highly effective when mutually followed. Historical examples, such as the coverage leading up to the Iraq War or coverage of other violent events, illustrate how powerful media framing can be in setting the terms of public discourse. The media's ability to dictate the narrative emphasizing certain aspects while downplaying others prepares the public to accept restrictive measures or broad policies without significant resistance, as discussed in works by authors like Chomsky and Herman and their analysis of media influence and manufacturing consent. In addition to framing, the media also utilizes language that evokes emotional responses designed to foster compliance. Words like crisis, emergency, or patriotic can have profound effects on public perception, pushing individuals towards support or acceptance of policies without thorough scrutiny. This manipulation of language is a cornerstone of how media influences anticipatory compliance. The role of digital media outlets, with their real-time updates and pervasive reach, can amplify these effects, especially in the inboxes of people who may not be savvy enough to take precautions against media bias. This makes media not just a source of information, but a potentially powerful architect of societal norms and expectations. As digital news platforms have become a place where we get our news for many, the impact of media on anticipatory compliance becomes even more significant, reshaping public discourse at a speed and scale previously unimaginable. Think back a few years. In the lead-up to the 2003 Iraq War, U.S. media outlets repeatedly emphasized the supposed threat of weapons of mass destruction, creating a climate of fear and a sense of patriotic duty to support military action, leading to widespread public acceptance of the war, a propaganda tactic called manufacturing consent. This despite a lack of concrete evidence. Let's think about social media and real-time propaganda. In the digital age, social media platforms have taken anticipatory compliance to a new level, even beyond the digital versions of older mainstream media sources we just discussed. The immediacy and pervasiveness of platforms like Twitter, now X, Facebook, and TikTok allow them to potentially influence public opinion and behavior in real time. Algorithms curate content that reinforces users' existing beliefs. When people don't understand how to curate their algorithms, unfettered, weighted algorithmic control of the feed can create echo chambers that normalize specific viewpoints or behaviors. This algorithmic curation fosters a form of digital anticipatory compliance, where users unconsciously adjust their expressions and interactions to conform to the perceived norms and expectations of their online communities. For example, in political discussions, individuals often gravitate towards news sources and social media communities that confirm their existing partisan views, leading to increased polarization and a resistance to alternative perspectives. Researchers at MIT have found that users often engage in self-censorship or adapt their communication styles based on the feedback loops generated by these algorithms, demonstrating a dynamic interplay between user behavior and platform design. This behavior is not just about seeking likes or avoiding trolls. It's about navigating an environment where visibility and social approval are governed by opaque algorithms that reward conformity and penalize deviation. The interactive nature of social media means that anticipatory compliance can be reinforced in real time, with likes, shares, and comments serving as immediate feedback mechanisms that reward conformity and discourage dissent. This creates a powerful social dynamic where users learn to anticipate the community's reactions and adapt their behavior accordingly, even without explicit external enforcement. The consequences of this dynamic are profound, shaping not just online discourse but also influencing real-world behaviors and perception. As social media becomes a primary source of information and social interaction, understanding its role in prompting anticipatory compliance is essential for ensuring a healthy public discourse and maintaining democratic engagement. Recall during the 2016 U.S. presidential election, social media platforms like Facebook played a significant role in spreading misinformation and reinforcing partisan echo chambers, leading users to conform their beliefs and behaviors to the perceived norms of their online communities, ultimately influencing voting patterns and political discourse. What are the consequences of nonconformity? Failing to comply with the unspoken rules of anticipatory compliance can lead to severe social and professional consequences. For individuals in minority groups, the stakes are often higher. as nonconformity can result in marginalization or exclusion. This is particularly true in environments where adherence to the dominant culture's norm is seen as, quote, essential for acceptance and success. In the workplace, for example, employees who do not conform to the prevailing corporate culture, whether that involves dress codes, communication style, or even social interaction, can find themselves sidelined, overlooked for promotions. This is often exacerbated for individuals from diverse backgrounds, where differences in behavior or appearance may be more pronounced. This impact extends beyond professional environments or social groups centered on the latest fad or tech. In social settings, nonconformity can lead to ostracism or social shunning, particularly in tight-knit communities. This can have a chilling effect on individual expression and foster an atmosphere where conformity is the path of least resistance. Recall in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, many Americans were reluctant to express criticism of the government's response due to a perceived patriotic consensus, which led to a spiral of silence that limited public debate and dissent and ended up allowing draconian and invasive laws to be passed at the national level that forever altered the privacy landscape for real citizens while doing very little to actually improve safety at home or abroad. This is anticipatory compliance writ large. The psychological impact of such dynamics can be significant. Individuals who constantly face the pressure to conform may experience increased stress, anxiety, or even depression. This emotional toll highlights the need for greater awareness and understanding of the power dynamics at play in anticipatory compliance and the importance of fostering more inclusive and accepting environments. In some conservative religious communities, for example, individuals who openly express doubt or divergent beliefs or who question may face social isolation, loss of familial support, or even expulsion from the community, pressuring many to conform to the group's norms and expectations at great personal cost, even if they privately disagree. So how can we build resilience against manipulative influence? To combat the effects of anticipatory compliance, it is essential to cultivate an environment that values critical thinking and individuality. Educational programs that emphasize critical media literacy are crucial in helping individuals recognize and analyze the tactics used to foster compliance. By understanding these mechanisms, individuals can become more adept at recognizing manipulative influences and more confident in their abilities to resist them. Furthermore, fostering a culture that values dissent and critical questioning can help mitigate the pressure to conform. Encouraging open dialogue and debate within a community and supporting diverse viewpoints are key to creating a society that is resilient against manipulative influence. If you are of a certain age, you may recall in the lead up to the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, NASA engineers who expressed concern about the safety of the launch were reportedly pressured to conform to the prevailing view that the launch should proceed, contributing to the fatal outcome, and showing that even the most intelligent among us can use a little help building resilience against manipulation and social pressure, and that the consequences for not building this resilience can be high. Building this resilience also involves acknowledging and addressing the emotional aspects of nonconformity. Providing support systems for those who may be ostracized for their differences or views is essential in ensuring that the cost of nonconformity does not outweigh the benefits of authenticity and personal integrity. For example, organizations like the News Literacy Project provide resources and training to help students and the general public develop critical media literacy skills, empowering them to identify and resist manipulative influences in news and social media. Let's dig more into the role of individuals and communities in shaping resistance. The battle against anticipatory compliance is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Communities play a crucial role in either reinforcing or resisting these dynamics. By fostering communities that value diversity, transparency, and open communication, we can create social environments that are less susceptible to manipulative influence. Individuals, too, have their role to play. By choosing to be mindful of the media we consume and the social norms we adhere to, individuals can help shift the broader cultural dynamics towards more genuine and less manipulated interactions. This involves being aware of the subtle cues and pressures that guide social conformity and making conscious choices that reflect true personal values rather than unexamined compliance. Online communities like Reddit's Change My Views subreddit actively encourage users to engage in respectful debate and to consider alternative perspectives, fostering environments that value critical thinking and resist the pressure to conform to a single dominant viewpoint. Researchers referenced in the making of this episode include J.L. Friedman, S.C. Fraser, S.A. Haslam, G. Perry, Gidart Masnip, Hugh J. Hui, L. Fuentemilla, P. Diane, E. Dazell, R. J. Dolan, S. J. Ball Rokich, M. Rokich, Lipinski, E. K. Maloney, Braz, H. C. Schulman, Leontine Boucher, Chaco, Slavic, Finucane, E. Peters, D. G. McGregor, Jowett O'Donnell, Riker, Platow, Rushkoff, Pratkinis, Aronson, Marwick, Walther, and Cialdini. In conclusion, anticipatory compliance is a powerful force that shapes our society in ways we often don't notice until we feel its constraints. By understanding its mechanisms and manifestations, we can better equip ourselves to navigate its challenges and advocate for a society that values authenticity and critical thinking over conformity. As we continue to engage with media and participate in social interactions, let's strive to be aware of the strings that may be pulling us and choose to walk past. Let's strive to be aware of the strings that may be pulling us and choose to walk paths defined by our genuine interactions and beliefs. Thanks for tuning in to PsyberSpace. I'm your host, Leslie Poston. And until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and stay curious.